everyone, my name is Beah Angelyn Ferrer and I am the leader of the Group 4 and today we are going to discuss about formative assessments. But before we proceed to our discussion, I want you to imagine that you are playing a video game. So as you go through each game, it gives you hints and tips to help you win. So wouldn't that make the game more fun and get you better? So while in school, we have something similar and it is called formative assessments. So these are like little check-ins during our learning to help both teachers and both students to see how things work and to see how things are going to make improvements. So today, I'm going to discuss why formative assessments are so important and how they help us learn better. So let's get started. So first and foremost, what are formative assessments? So formative assessments are tools and strategies that teachers use while we're learning something new. So they're not like final exams at the end of the year. Instead, formative assessments happen during the learning. So they help teachers see what we understand, what we're struggling with, and how they can change their lessons to help us even more. So it's all about improving as we go through the learning process. So why formative assessments are so important? First and foremost, because they support learning through feedback. So have you ever written a story or solved a math problem and gotten feedback from your teacher? So that feedback helps us fix our mistakes and get better. So according to research, it shows that feedback is one of the best ways to improve our learning. So for example, if we write an essay draft and the teacher gives us notes on how to make it better, we can revise it and turn in a much stronger final version. So it is cool, right? So next one is they promote active engagement. So formative assessments helps us become more involved in our learning. So for instance, some teachers use a traffic light system where we can show how much we understand something. So green means we're confident, yellow means we're unsure, and red means we need a little extra help. So this way, we can reflect on what we know and let the teacher know if we need extra help or extra time to learn something, and it's like being part of the team working on your own success. So the third one is they help teachers guide instruction. So sometimes teachers need to know what part of the lessons we didn't quite understand. So that's where formative assessments come in. So for example, a teacher might give us a quick exit ticket where we write down the most important thing we learned in our class. So if many of us write down something that is different from the teacher is expecting for us to learn, they can reteach that part to make sure everyone gets it. So the fourth one is they can also reduce test anxiety. So we know that big exams can be super stressful. But formative assessments are usually low pressure. So they're like practice games before a big match. So for example, spelling quizzes every week help us get better for a bigger vocabulary test. So that in that way, we feel more prepared and less nervous. And the last one is they support differentiated learning. So we know that not everyone learns the same way or at the same speed. So formative assessments help teachers see who needs extra help and who's ready for more challenges. For instance, in a math class, students who find something tricky might get extra practice, while others who already understand can try more advanced problems, so it makes sure everyone is learning in the best way for them. So now let's talk about some techniques that teachers use to make formative assessments work. So number one is observation-based techniques. So teachers watch how we react and behave during the class to see if we really understand the lesson. So for example, they might monitor group works or track how engaged we are in the discussions. So number two is questioning techniques. So teachers ask us questions to check what we know. This might be open-ended questions or ones that can make us think deeply and critically. So for example, they might ask, why do you think this character made that decision? So that question helps teachers see if we're getting an idea or big ideas out of the picture or out of the context. And third one is discussion-based techniques. So talking with classmates helps us uncover what we've learned. Techniques like think, pair, share lets us share ideas with a partner before sharing it with the whole class. So this makes learning fun and interactive as well. So fourth technique is written techniques. So sometimes teachers ask us to write down our thoughts. For example, we might fill out an exit ticket where we answer a quick question about the day's lesson. So this helps teachers see if we understood the lesson. The fifth one is interactive techniques. So activities like using mini whiteboards or doing role-playing games makes learning hands-on and makes the learning exciting. So this also gives teachers real-time feedback. The sixth one is technology-based techniques. So using Kahoot or Google Forms makes assessments fast and engaging. So these tools gives instant feedback to both students and teachers. And the last one is peer and self-assessment. Sometimes we check our own work or a friend's work using a checklist or a rubric. So that helps us think critically about how well we are doing. So you might be thinking how to choose the right technique. So teachers choose techniques based on what they want us to learn. For example, if they want to check if we understand the concept, they might use an exit ticket. If we are in a big class, they might use mini whiteboards so everyone can show their answers at the same time. So why do we do formative assessments? So they're like mini checkpoints that helps us learn better. It gives us helpful feedback and make sure we're ready for big challenges. So they also help teachers make lessons that fits our need, that fits what we need. So it's like a win-win situation. So next time your teacher uses a formative assessment, think of it as a tool to help you grow and succeed. So that's it for the formative assessment. My other group mates will discuss the preceding topics.
Let's now move on to the grading system, components, and function. The grading system is an essential part of educational assessment that helps evaluate and communicate students' academic performance. It typically consists of various components and serve multiple functions within an educational context. Below is a breakdown of everything you need to know about grading system. The first one is grades. Grades are numerical or letter-based representation of a student's performance. This can vary by institution but typically fall into the categories like letter grades, often used in high school and university settings, with each letter correspond to a specific range of percentage. Example is A is equivalent of 90 to 100%. Percentage grades expresses performance as percentage of the total possible points. Point system, a numerical scale which is then converted into a letter grade. Grades may also be supplemented with a plus-minus distinction to provide more precise feedback. Next component is the weighting of components. The grading system often assigns specific weights to different components of the course, depending on their importance. Common components in their typical weight range. Assignments. Regular tasks or projects that assess knowledge and application, which has a weight range of 20 to 40%. Next is the exam or test. Formal assessments such as midterms and finals that test cumulative knowledge and has a weight range of 30 to 50%, while participation is the assessment of students' engagement in class discussion, group work, or other interactive activities, which has a weight range of 10 to 20%. Same with the homework. Homework is one of the regular tasks that assigned outside of class, typically for practice and understanding, which will be submitted in the next meeting. The last one is the quizzes, short and frequent assessment to gauge knowledge on smaller topics, which has a weight range of 10 to 15%. Last components is the rubrics. Rubrics are detailed guidelines used to communicate the expectation of an assignment or exam. They often specify into criteria. Criteria focus on the aspect of the work are being evaluated. Example is the clarity, organization, and accuracy. Level of performance. Describe different level of achievement for each criterion. Sample is excellent, good, needs improvement. Score or points. Corresponding score or description for each level of performance. Function of a grading system. Communication of performance. The primary function of a grading system is to communicate the student's performance to various stakeholders, including the students, parents, and educators. It provides a standardized way to reflect on the extent to which learning objectives have been met. Next is the student self-assessment. Grades help students assess their progress and identify areas needing improvement. Parental awareness. Parents are better able to understand how their child is performing inside the school and whether they need extra support. Next function of a grading system is the motivation and feedback. Grades are a source of motivation, both positive and negative, influencing students' behavior. High grades may motivate continued effort of the students, while low grades can prompt improvements effort. Encourage accountability. Grades make students accountable for their learning and performance. Feedback on progress. Grading provides feedback on areas of students and areas requiring more attention. Third function is the standardization and fairness. A standardized grading system ensures that all students are assessed against the same criteria. It reduces subjectivity and helps ensure fairness in evaluating students' work. Objective measurement. Grading provides a clear and objective way to assess students' performance. Comparability. Grades can be used to compare students' performance across different schools, districts, and even countries. The fourth one is the reflection of learning outcomes. Grades can reflect how well students have mastered specific learning outcomes or objectives. This is particularly true in outcome-based education or the OBE, where grading focuses on demonstrating competencies and the achievement of specific skills. Then, lastly is the accreditation and certification. Grades play a critical role in student progress through education and are key components for receiving diplomas, certification, and qualification.
A pleasant day to each and everyone. Before we continue the discussion, I will introduce myself first. I am Catherine and Soriano, your reporter for the next topic. We will be tackling about the DepEd's grading system. To begin with, let me give you an overview of the DepEd grading system. The DepEd, or commonly known as Department of Education in the Philippines, it has established a comprehensive grading system that serves as a framework for assessing student performance from grade 1 to grade 12, or what we call as K-12. This system is designed to provide a standardized approach to evaluating academic achievement across various learning areas. It uses a standardized grading system for assessing and reporting student performance. The DepEd grading system is designed to be fair, comprehensive, and adaptable to the diverse educational context in the country. Here's everything you need to know about the DepEd grading system. Of course, the first one that you should know about is the structure of the DepEd grading system. The DepEd grading system is outlined in the DepEd Order No. 8, Series of 2015, which establishes the guidelines for the K-12 curriculum. It includes provisions for grading from elementary to secondary levels, ensuring that the assessment and evaluation process is consistent and transparent. In the structure, it highlights the grading scale and grade description. When we go talk about the grading scale, the DepEd grading system uses percentage scale for grading. As you can see in the presentation, the grades typically follow this scale. 90 to 100% is equivalent to outstanding. 85 to 89% is very satisfactory. 80 to 84% is satisfactory. 75 to 79% is fairly satisfactory. Below 75% did not meet expectations or fail. This scale is intended to reflect students' proficiency in mastering learning competencies or objectives set for each grade level. Under the grade description, outstanding, the student demonstrates excellent performance, consistently achieving or exceeding expectations. In very satisfactory, the student performs consistently well, showing good understanding with minor errors. And under the satisfactory, the student meets expectations but with notable areas of improvement. Under the fairly satisfactory, the student shows minimal mastery of the subject matter and additional effort is needed. And lastly, did not meet expectations. The student fails to meet the learning objectives of the course. The next one that we'll be talking about is the components of the DepEd grading system. Under these are learning areas, assessment types, and weight of components. In learning area, the DepEd grading system covers multiple learning areas such as language and communication, mathematics, science, social studies, music, arts, PE and health, or what we call MAPE, edukasyong pantahanan at pangkabuhayan, or in short, edukpang. Each learning area is evaluated using both formative and summative assessments. Second is the assessment types. The grading system involves multiple types of assessment, and these are the formative assessment that includes quizzes, class activities, assignments, and seat work that monitor student progress during lessons. And last is the summative assessment that includes major exams such as quizzes, unit tests, and quarterly assessment that evaluates cumulative learning. And lastly, the weight of components. The grading system considers both formative and summative assessment. In general, the weight distribution is as follows. Under the formative assessment is the 40%, and summative assessment is 60%. The quarterly assessment or the summative is often given greater weight to ensure that students are being assessed on their understanding of cumulative lessons. The continuation of the topic, which will be explaining about the DepEd's computation of final grades. But before that, let me tell you that at the end of each quarter, the student's final grade is determined by combining the grades for all learning areas. So each assessment has a specific weight depending on its type and importance. The final grade here is computed using the following formula that you can see in the presentation. Before you get the final grade, you should definitely compute it first so you can make sure about the results of it in the end. So here, the final grade is equal to the formative assessment times 0.40 plus the summative assessment equals 0.60. This system is meant to provide a comprehensive view of the student's academic progress, combining both ongoing performance and cumulative knowledge. Now let's move on to the learning outcomes and reporting in line with the K-12 curriculum. DepEd emphasizes the mastery of learning outcomes, which are specific competencies that students need to acquire. Each subject of learning area has a set of learning competencies that are aligned with the national education standards. Under this is the student progress, where progress is reported quarterly through the report card where students are graded on the basis of these competencies. And another one is commentary on performance, where teachers provide feedback on the students' strengths, weaknesses, and areas for improvement. So these comments are critical for guiding student development. There's also a DepEd's policy on failure and remediation. For students who fail to meet the minimum passing grade of 75%, DepEd requires remedial classes. So remediation is intended to help students who have failed to meet the required competencies. In remediation period, this happens at the end of the school year or after each quarter, where students are given additional lessons or tasks to improve their grades. So, in a reassessment, students who undergo remediation may be reassessed to determine if they have mastered the necessary competency. Now, let's talk about the changes under the K-12 program, the K-12 Basic Education Curriculum, implemented on 2013. Introduced some adjustment to the grading system, particularly for senior high school students. In senior high school students, the grading system is similar to the junior high school, but includes additional components such as performance tasks, project-based assessments, and internship grades, all of which are included in the final grade calculation. There's also alternative learning system or ALS. DepEd also uses an alternative grading system for students enrolled on ALS program, where learners may not follow the traditional grading system, but are instead assessed on the competencies through a variety of a method. If there are changes, there are also challenges and criticisms. While the DepEd grading system aims to be comprehensive, there are several criticisms. First one is the pressure on students, the emphasis on a numerical grade from contribute to academic stress. Second, inconsistent implementation. Some schools or teachers may apply grading differently, leading to inconsistencies in grading across the country. Third, inadequate assessment methods. Some argue that the focus on formative and summative assessment does not always capture the full range of students' abilities and progress. And to sum it up, the DepEd grading system plays a crucial role in providing clear, standardized metrics for evaluating student performance. It is also encouraged student progress and development through its combination of formative and summative assessments, ensuring a holistic evaluation. However, continual reflection on its implementation and consideration of alternative assessment methods is necessary to make the system more inclusive and effective. Understanding the K-12 grading system of DepEd in the realm of Philippine education. The K-12 program introduced significant reforms, and one of which is the comprehensive grading system implemented by the Department of Education, or commonly known as the DepEd, designed to align with the global education standards and enhance the learning experience of students. These grading systems aims to provide a clearer assessment of student progress and proficiency. Look at the presentation. As you can see on the table, it composed the weight of components of grades 1 to 10 and the senior high school. Therefore, there are key components. Number 1 is the standard-based framework. The system adopts a standard-based approach to grading wherein students' performance is measured against clearly defined learning standards or competencies. This ensures that assessments are aligned with the curriculum objectives and educational goals set by the DepEd. Second is the comprehensive assessment. Assessment under the K-12 grading system includes various types such as formative and summative assessments. In formative assessments, these are the ongoing and provide feedback to both teachers and students that improve learning. Summative assessment, on the other hand, evaluates student learning at the end of a specific instructional period. Third is the grading scale. The grading scale consists of numerical values and corresponding descriptors that indicate the level of achievement. This scale ranges from 60 to 100, with 60 as the minimum passing grade. It ensures the transparency and fairness in evaluating student performance across different subjects and grade levels. Fourth, non-numeric ratings. Aside from numerical grades, the The system incorporates non-numeric ratings for certain aspects of learning such as behavior, values, and work habits. These ratings provide a more holistic view of student development and encourage cultivation of positive learning attitudes. Let's move on and talk about the implementation, challenges, and benefits. Under the challenges is the transition period. The shift to the K-12 grading system required adjustments from both educators and students, particularly in understanding and applying the new assessment methods. And second is the consistency. Ensuring consistency in grading practices across schools and regions remains a challenge, requiring continuous training and monitoring. But here is the benefits: clarity and transparency. The system provides clear and transparent criteria for assessing student performance, helping students and parents understanding academic expectations and areas of improvement. And also the holistic development by incorporating non-academic aspects into assessments. In conclusion, the K-12 grading system of DepEd represents a significant reform aimed at improving the quality education in the Philippines. By emphasizing standards-based assessments, comprehensive evaluation, and holistic development, the system seeks to equip learners with the necessary skills and competencies for lifelong success. While challenges in the implementation persist, the benefits of a clearer, more holistic approach to grading are poised to positively impact the educational landscape in the years to come.
So, how to report students' progress and grades and results of authentic assessments to students and parents. So, reporting students' progress and grades is a vital aspect of the educational process. So, as it ensures that students, parents, and educators are aligned regarding the learner's academic development. So, it is not just about presenting grades, but also about providing constructive feedback that can support future learning. So the report should reflect a comprehensive understanding of the student's performance, including both traditional assessments like quizzes and tests, and authentic assessments such as portfolios, projects, and performances. So below is a detailed explanation of how to report students' progress and grades and results of authentic assessments to students and parents, including relevant citations. So first and foremost, the purpose of reporting students' progress and grades is for transparency and communication. So reports help create an open line of communication between teachers, students, and parents. So clear communications about the student's performance can aid in setting realistic learning goals and expectations. Secondly, it is a reflection on learning. So reports offer students the opportunity to reflect on their learning, identify their strengths and areas of improvement, and also a development of self-regulation skills. The third one is for parental involvement. So regular updates to parents allow them to actively participate in their child's education and provide necessary support. And lastly is accountability. So regular reporting ensures that all stakeholders are aware of academic progress and helps hold both the students and teachers accountable for learning outcomes.
Number two, types of assessment reported. There are two main categories of assessment reported. These are traditional assessment and authentic assessment. But first, let's talk about what is traditional assessment. So in traditional assessment, we have quizzes, tests, and exams. These are typically summative assessment that evaluate a student's ability to recall and apply knowledge. Grades for these assessments are often straightforward and are reported as numerical scores or letter grades. Formative assessments. These ongoing assessments, for example, homework, class activities, and participation, are usually assigned a lower weight than summative assessment, but it provides useful insights into a student's development. The second one is authentic assessment. Authentic assessments refers to assessment that requires students to apply skills and knowledge to real-world tasks. These assessments are often more holistic and provide a deeper understanding of a student's abilities. These are the examples include portfolio. What is portfolio? It is a collective of students' work over time, showing their learning, journey, and progress. The second one is project-based. These assessment tests where students are asked to apply their knowledge to complete a real-world project. The third one is project-based assessment. This is the test where students demonstrate their learning through performances, presentations, or experiments. The fourth one, we have peer and self-assessment, involving students in evaluating their own or each other's work, encourages reflection and understanding of their learning progress. These authentic assessments are increasingly valued because they provide a more comprehensive and nuanced understanding of the student's performance. Number 3, reporting students. First, timely feedback that is underreporting to students. And we have some examples. First one is immediate feedback. It's giving students immediate feedback, especially after formative assessment, is crucial. Feedback should be specific, focus on both strengths and areas for improvement, and encourage self-reflection. The second example for this is conferencing. Teachers can schedule one-on-one conferences with students to discuss their progress, reflect on their learning, and identify strategies for improvement. The second one under the reporting student is use of rubrics. For example, clear rubrics. In clear rubrics, when reporting on authentic assessment like projects or performances, teachers can use rubric that clearly outline the expectations and criteria. This allows students to understand what is expected and helps them self-assess their work. For example, a rubric for a project might include categories such as research quality, creativity, presentation skills, and teamwork. Students can see where they excel and where they need to improve. The third one is encouraging self-assessment, and the example is reflection journals. Students can keep a reflective journal documenting their progress. This encourages them to self-monitor their learning and see areas where they can grow. Another is self-assessment checklist. This tool allows students to assess their work before submitting it, helping them develop critical thinking and self-regulation skills. The fourth one under the reporting to student is student-friendly language. Example, understandable reports. It is when communicating grades and feedback to students, use clear and student-friendly language. The focus should be on improvement and learning rather than just the grade itself. Number 4, reporting to parents. Under for it, we have report cards. And for the example, we have traditional report cards. These typically include numerical or letter grades for each subject and may also include comments on behavior, effort, and attendance. However, this does not fully reflect the student's development, particularly in areas assessed via authentic assessment. Another example for this is progress reports. These are more frequent than report cards, and it provides ongoing feedback about the student's progress, especially for subjects where students are working on projects or ongoing assessments. The second one under the reporting to parent is parent-teacher conference. For the example for this, in-person or virtual meetings, it is discussing the results of authentic assessments through face-to-face or online conferences. It helps contextualize a student's grade and performance. Teachers can explain how a student's progress is measured through non-traditional assessment and offer ways for parents to support their child's development. Another example is providing examples. It's showing parents example of their child's work, for example, completed project or portfolio. because it helps illustrate the quality of the student's learning. The third one under reporting parents is digital reports and portfolios, and we have e-portfolios. It is an online collection of students' work that can be a powerful tool for sharing results with parents. E-portfolio allow parents to see the progression of their child's work in real time. Another one is online grading system. So many schools now use digital platforms where parents can access grades and feedbacks on assessments at any time. Reports should highlighting both strength and areas for growth. A balanced approach make it easier for parents to understand their child's abilities and challenges. Another one is progress over time. It focusing on how the student has improved over time, especially in authentic assessment. It is more valuable than a single grade or score. So this approach promotes a growth mindset.
Reflective practice using learner assessment data. Reflective practice refers to the process of teaching, thinking critically about their teaching practices, understanding their strengths and areas for improvement, and making adjustment to improve student learning outcomes. When teachers engage in reflective practices using learners' assessment data, they use the evidences of student performance to reflect on their effectiveness of their teaching methods, content delivery, and classroom management strategies. Using learner attainment data as a measure of teaching effectiveness, learner attainment data includes student performance data collected from assessments such as a test, assignment, project, and other forms of evaluation. This data serves as an important measure of teaching effectiveness because it reflects whether students are achieving the learning outcomes set for the course. Types of learning attainment data. Formative assessment data. These are assessments that happen during the learning process, such as quizzes, homeworks, and class activities. They provide real-time insights into students' understanding and allow teachers to adjust their teaching strategies. Summative assessment data. These are assessments conducted at the end of an instructional period. For example, final exams, end of term projects. They help evaluate whether students have met the overall learning objectives. The third one is authentic assessment data. This includes non-traditional assessment like portfolios, projects, and performance that measure students' application of skills in real-life contexts. How learner attainment data refers teaching effectiveness. Identifying areas of improvement. If significant portion of the class performs poorly on a specific assessment, it may indicate a gap of teaching or the need for a different instructional approach. Second is assessing learning outcomes. Consistently high achievement on assessment suggests that students are successfully mastering the content, which reflects positively on the teaching methods used. And the third one is evaluate instructional strategies. Teacher can reflect on which instructional strategies, for example, lectures, group work, hands-on activities, leads to the highest level of students' performance. This data-driven insight allow teachers to fine-tune their teaching methods to maximize students' learner. And lastly, data-driven decisions. Adjusting teaching methods, learner attainment data allows teachers to make evidence-based decisions about adjusting their teaching methods. For instance, if formative assessment shows that students struggle with a concept. The teacher may choose to reteach the material using the different approach or more interactive activities. And last, personalizing instruction. Data can help identify students who need additional support, enabling teachers to provide differentiated instruction to meet individual learning needs.
So before we proceed to our next topic, let me introduce myself first. I am Shyra Mae P. Cabrera from BSED English 31 Men 01. So first, our topic is reflecting practice through performance evaluation by learners, peers, and supervisors. So when we say reflective practice, it is not only about analyzing learner data, but also involves evaluating one's performance through feedback from various sources, learners, peers, and supervisors. This multi-source feedback can enhance self-awareness and guide teachers in professional growth. So the next one is student feedback. It gathered through surveys, discussion, or course evaluation. So meaning students can provide valuable insight into the effectiveness of teaching methods, the clarity of instruction, and the relevance of the content. This feedback can be collected through surveys, interviews, or informal discussions. So the next one is actionable insight. Students provide feedback or content, clarity, teaching methods, and engagement. So it refers to valuable practical knowledge derived from data or observation, enabling informed decision or improvement to achieve specific goals effectively in real-world contexts. So next one is end-to-end course evaluation. Help assess the overall effectiveness of the course teaching. So many educational institutions use formalized end-of-course surveys where students assess the course content, teaching methods, and overall learning experience. This evaluation provides teachers with important data on how will they engage students and whether the course meet in objects. So the next one is peer observation. Teachers observe each other's classroom for new ideas and constructive feedback. So meaning teachers can collaborate with colleges and observe each other's teaching practices. Peer evaluation allows teachers to gain alternative perspective on their teaching style and identify areas for improvement. A peer might offer suggestions for more engaging teaching methods or classroom management techniques. So the next one is collaborative learning, sharing experience and strategies with peers to improve teaching techniques. So meaning it is an educational approach where students work together in groups, sharing knowledge and skills to achieve common goals, fostering teamwork, communication, and critical thinking. So next one is peer review, feedback on lesson plans, classroom management, and content delivery. So meaning colleges may review lesson plans or assessments to provide feedback on their alignment with learning objectives and clarity of instruction. So example, a peer might suggest that a teacher incorporate more collaboration learning opportunities such as group discussion based on their observation of how students respond to interactive tasks. So next one is supervisor evaluations. So formal observations. Structured evaluation by supervisors assess the teaching effectiveness. So meaning supervisor or school administrators often conduct formal classroom observation as part of performance evaluation. So these evaluations are typically more structured and provide teachers with formal feedback of their teaching strategies, classroom management, and interaction with students. So next one is mentorship. Supervisor provides feedback and guide professional growth. So meaning supervisor can offer guidance and mentorship based on their observation. This process supports teachers in reflecting on their professional growth and applying feedback to improve their practice. So next one is goal settings. Supervisor helps set professional development goals and strategies for improvement. Goal setting is defining specific, measurable, and time-bound objectives to focus efforts, track progress, and achieve desired outcomes effectively in personal, academic, or professional context. So here is example. A supervisor might suggest that a teacher improve their questioning techniques to promote deeper thinking, or they may recommend professional development opportunities that align with areas where the teacher is looking to grow.
The reflective cycle. The reflective cycle is a systematic process that educators use to continuously improve their teaching practices. It involves 4 key stages. First is the data collection. The purpose of data collection is to gather information about students' learning and performances. The methods that can involve collecting various forms of data, such as formal assessment. This includes tests, quizzes, and exams. Informal assessment includes observations, class discussions, and exit slips. Student self-assessment includes journals, reflections, and peer reviews. Feedback from students and colleagues includes surveys, interviews, and informal conversations. Next is the analysis. The purpose of analysis is to identify patterns, trends, and areas for improvement. The process to analyze the collective data is to identify strengths, recognize successful teaching strategies, and student achievements. Second is identify the weaknesses. Pinpoint areas where instruction could be improved. Identify gaps. Is determine any gaps in students' understanding or skill development. Next is the reflection. The purpose of reflection is to critically examine teaching practices and student learning. The questions to consider are what went well? What could have been done differently? What factors influence student learning? What are the implications for future teaching? Lastly is the action. The purpose of action is to implement changes based on reflection and data analysis. The possible actions that modify instructional strategies is adjusting teaching methods to better meet student needs. Next is develop the new resources, creating new materials or activities to enhance learning. We also need to seek professional development, attend workshops or conferences to gain new skills and knowledge. We also need to collaborate with colleagues, share ideas and best practices with other educators. By following this cyclical process, educators can continually refine their teaching practices and improve their student learning outcomes. Benefits of reflective practice. Reflective practice is a powerful tool for educators to enhance their teaching and improve student learning. Reflective practice using learner assessment data and feedback from learners, peers, and supervisors is essential for improving teaching effectiveness and fostering student success. Through reflective practice, teachers can adjust their teaching methods, personalize instructions, and continuously enhance their professional development. By systematically analyzing assessment data and embracing constructive feedback, teachers can create an engaging and effective learning environment. Reflective practice is essential for continuous improvement and personal development. It allows teachers to understand their strengths, acknowledge areas for growth, and take proactive steps toward enhancing their instructional practices. First, enhances professional growth. Reflecting on learner data feedback from students, peers, and supervisors helps teachers to refine their teaching practices. It enables them to adopt new learning strategies, incorporate student-centered approaches, and align their instructions with diverse learner needs. It supports student learning. Reflective teachers can better meet students' needs by adopting their teaching methods based on what the assessment, data, and feedback indicate. This adaptive approach leads to more effective learning environments that cater to the very needs of students. It also promotes a growth of mindset. Reflective practice encourages teachers to adopt a growth mindset, where they view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than setbacks. Feedbacks from learners, peers, and supervisors help teachers develop the resilience needed to adopt and improve continually.
So that's all for today. We are the Group 4 and I hope you learned something from our presentation. Thank you!